So, less than 4 days are left for CLAT. And now, the most important thing that is left is definitely current affairs. So, here is the third part of the top 10 important current affairs topics for CLAT 2024. Let's begin. So, the first topic is the appointment of the 51st Chief Justice of India. So, as we know, the 50th Chief Justice of India, Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, has vacated his office for Justice Sanjeev Khanna, who will be serving as the 51st Chief Justice. So this topic is very important because this has been seen as a trend कि Chief Justice जिस तरह change हुआ है वैसा question most probably CLAT या ALET में आता ही है, उससे कुछ related question आता है. जैसे in ALET last year we had this question that who was the first female judge of the Supreme Court. So although it's an easy question, but this is something which was asked. So now there's a question for all of you. Write in the comment box that who was the first female judge of the Supreme Court. So now coming on to this topic of Supreme Court, we have to know certain important facts about Supreme Court. जैसे कि which article of the Indian Constitution talks about it. So Article 124 of the Indian Constitution says that there shall be a Supreme Court headed by the Chief Justice. And Supreme Court of India started functioning on 26 January 1950. So these are certain facts which are important for Supreme Court. But apart from that, considering we are talking about Chief Justice's appointment, it is very important to know the history of Chief Justice's appointment. And there has been a very big contention with regards to how India appoints Chief Justices and how India appoints Supreme Court judges. So you should be knowing that contention and all the conflict and all the cases which are relevant for it. So starting it off, this had always been sort of a tradition that the senior most judge of the Supreme Court will be elevated as the Chief Justice. But this tradition was broken in the year 1973 when A.N. Ray was appointed as the Chief Justice, superseding 3 senior judges. And this was done by Indira Gandhi. And also in 1977, Justice Beg was appointed over superseding certain senior judges. So these are the 2 important times when this tradition of the highest Chief Justice was not followed. And now 3 important cases are there which are related to this. But majorly you should be knowing about the first judge's case, the second judge's case and the third judge's case. And इसमें सबसे important the third judge's case which you should be knowing about. So third judge's case it was decided that so the constitution says that the Chief Justice would be appointed by the President after consulting with the other judges and the Chief Justice and all that. So now the important thing is कि consulting का मतलब क्या है? So in the third judge's case of 1993, it was decided that consulting would mean concurring, which would mean कि इनकी बात माननी जरूरी है. It basically said that the opinion of the judges was given precedence over the opinion of the executive in this case. And also NJAC is something which is very, very important here. That is the National Judicial Appointment Commission. And it was formed by the 99th Constitutional Amendment Act. And then it was later struck down by Supreme Court. So it is very important to know this. So the next topic that we are going to cover is census. So Ministry of Home Affairs ने announced करा है कि census which was supposed to be conducted in 2021 will now be conducted next year, and this is going to be the 16th census of India. So exactly what is census, that is something we should be knowing about. So census एक survey type होता है which government conducts just in order to assess कि हमारे इंडिया में education, economy, population ये सारे they're just to survey all these major issues. So we should be knowing about census. So the first synchronized census of India was conducted in the year 1881 by W.C. Plodin. And when we gained independence, since then every 10 years we have this exercise. But for the first time, this exercise was not conducted in 2021 because of COVID. But Minister of Home Affairs is sure that we'll be doing it. So census is conducted by Registrar and Census Commissioner of India. And Mrityunjay Narayan Kumar is the current Registrar General and Census Commissioner of India. So there is the body which comes under Minister of Home Affairs, जिसके अंडर मेजरली ये काम आता है. इससे एक और associated important topic is NPR, that is National Population Register. So this is something which was formed in the year 2010 and was updated in the year 2015. And this is a list of all the usual residents of the country. And also, आपको थोड़े facts about 2011 census you should be knowing, certain main facts. So the state with the highest population density was Bihar, and the state with the lowest population density was Arunachal Pradesh. The state with the lowest population was Sikkim, and the state with the highest population was Uttar Pradesh. Apart from this, one important thing which came in census of 2011 was that there's only one state in India that has a negative population growth, and that state you guys have to answer in the comment box. Just a hint, it's in the northeast.
Now, the third topic that we'll be covering is the Ramon Magsaysay Award. So this award is also called as Asia's Nobel Prize, and it has recently been given to 5 individuals and 1 organization. So we'll be discussing about this. So this award was established in the year 1957, and it is named after the 7th president of Philippines, and his name was Ramon Magsaysay. And in the year 1958, it was given for the first time. And the first recipient of this award was Acharya Vinod Bhav, who received it in the year 1958. So earlier, it was given in 5 categories. But in the year 2009, they discontinued this category wala thing, and they just said that we'll be giving out these awards, right? So now there are no categories, and it is given out to people. So this award is funded by the Rockefeller Brothers Foundation, which is based out of New York. And now, the people who received it this year. The first recipient of this year's award is Hayao Mizwaki, who's from Japan, and the second recipient is Farveza Farhan from Indonesia. This award has also been given to this organization, which is called as Rural Doctors Movement, which is based out of Thailand. And the other people who have received it is Karma Fushto from Bhutan and Dr. Nguyen. The name is very difficult. So Dr. Nguyen Thi Ngok Phuong from Vietnam. So how you can remember it and eliminate it in the option? This is the most weird name that you'll find. That will be the answer. And yeah. So the next topic that we are going to cover is the recent summit of NATO, which was held in Washington DC. So why is it important? It is important because this year is the 75th year of NATO. So NATO was founded on 4th April 1949, and it was founded in Washington DC only by 12 founding members. This organization is about collective defense. So it basically means that if you attack, that means an attack on all. And Article 5 of the NATO Charter or the Washington DC Treaty talks about it. So this is the major background with regards to it. And certain important people who are associated with it is definitely the Secretary General of NATO, that is Mark Rutte, right now. And so Mark Rutte, and this is also important because Jens Stoltenberg, who has been serving as the NATO Secretary General for almost the past 10 years, he got his post in the year 2014, and he is a former Prime Minister of Norway, and he recently retired, and in his place, Mark Rutte has replaced him. So it is very important, and there are high chances case the question as well. And also the first person to be the Secretary General for NATO was Hastings Ismay. So this is also a very important name that you should remember. Now some other important facts are that France basically left this organization in the year continued its membership, but left as a part of the Integrated Military Command in the year 1966, and it rejoined the command in 2009. So this is something which is very important from perspective of NATO. And NATO has been in news because of the Russia-Ukraine war, and also NATO has 32 members, so it is very important to remember this. And also there's a question for all of you. Just write down in the comment box which is the most recent country to join NATO, and also if you could tell that which country was stalling its membership. So yes, that is it with regards to NATO. So now on to the other important topic, that is Indian elections. So as we know, NDA has retained its power, and it is for the first time since 1962 that we have had a return of a government for the 3rd consecutive term. So this is definitely a very big news for India. But again, single party dominance is something which we could not see this time around. As we know, coalition, the India Alliance could also garner a lot of votes and seats. So in election mein, one thing which is very important from our perspective is definitely election commission. So we have to understand that we have to focus on polity and not on politics. So election commission ke baare mein it's very important to know. So it is under Article 324 of the Indian Constitution that election commission comes into being. And Rajiv Kumar is the current chief election commissioner. And election commission is also a 3-member body. So this is something which we should be knowing. And the first chief election commissioner of India was Sukumar Sen, who undertook 2 elections of independent India. And also one very important fact about this. Sukumar Sen also oversaw the elections of Sudan in 1953, and that was the first parliamentary elections of Sudan. So there's a very important fact that a lot of people miss. Apart from this, we also have state election commissions, and these are covered under Article 243 of the Indian Constitution. So, what is the difference between election commission and state election commission? So, election commission is responsible for conducting the elections for President of India, for the post of like Lok Sabha elections and also Rajya Sabha elections. So, and also state elections, state assembly elections are covered under the election commission. So now the question comes to exactly state election commission क्या करती है फिर? State election commission looks after the municipal and the panchayat elections which are there. Now there's a trivia for all of you. Under which schedule of the Indian Constitution is the municipal elections and the panchayat municipalities and the panchayats covered? So and also mention the year in which they came in. इस बार एक इलेक्शन में one very major thing which happened was in the state of, in the district of Indore. So Indore में for the first time Nota has received around 2 lakh votes, and this is the highest that Nota has ever gotten. So what is Nota? So Nota is none of the above. So it is an option which you get in a lot of CLAT questions, and it is also an option which now the Indian electorate have. So if you're not satisfied with any of the, you don't want to vote for any of the above candidates, then you can vote for Nota. This idea came in the year 2014, and this was majorly to combat the menace of booth capturing that this was brought in. So yes, definitely this is something big, and you should be knowing about it. Now the other topic that we are going to cover is the emission gaps report by United Nations Environment Program. So UNEP has released this report before the COP29 summit, which is very, very important. And we already have a video covering it. So definitely refer to that. But about this report, there are certain stats which are very important for CLAT and ALED. This is, number one has to be that if the countries continue on the current trajectory that they are likely to go above 3.1 degrees Celsius, 3.1 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial levels. And as we know, the goal which is given under the Paris Agreement is 2 degrees Celsius and preferably 1.5 degrees Celsius. So, अगर हम जिस trajectory पे हैं, then we are bound to overreach this goal and overreach this limit. And now the second thing, if the countries they successfully implement their NDCs, that is the nationally determined contributions under the Paris Agreement, then still we would reach a level of 2.6 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial level. And also this report highlighted that the G20 countries amount for 77% of the total emissions, and this is excluding the African Union. So also a trivia for all of you, who is the current head of African Union? This is something that you have to mention in the comment section. Now about this more, so it has also been highlighted that there are majorly 6 countries that are responsible for 63% of the total emissions, and these 6 countries include China, and this is in a particular order, which is China, USA, followed by India, followed by EU, followed by Russia, followed by Brazil. So these major countries are responsible for 63% of the total emissions. So this just shows that there are certain countries in the world that are producing the most amount of carbon dioxide and carbon emissions. And also now a bit about UNEP. So UNEP came into being in the year 1972. It has its headquarters at Nairobi in Kenya, and its governing body is the United Nations Environment Assembly. Now guys, another trivia for all of you, just mention that who is the current head of United Nations Environment Program. And yeah, so UNEP majorly gives out a lot of important reports, and which include this emission gap report and also the environmental outlook report and also the adaptation gas report. So yes, so now the next topic that we are going to cover is G20. So as we know, G20 last year took place in India, and this time around it is taking place in Rio, and that's in Brazil. So now there are certain, although इसके बारे में पिछले भी questions पूछे गए थे, तो there are also chances कि इस बार भी something or the other would come from G20. So G20 is a grouping which is formed in the year 1999, and the basis for this grouping was formed by the 1997 and 1998 ka Asian financial crisis. Then these countries saw that we should come together and talk about economic cooperation and all that. And in the year 2008, this became a major a grouping which is much more than just economics. And this happened in the Washington DC summit of G20. Now more about it. This grouping is an informal one. So basically, it does not have a set headquarters, and that's why har saal we have a G20 troika, which is basically the current G20 president, the previous one, and the next one. So this time, जब India में host हुआ था, the troika was found by Indonesia, that was the preceding president, the current president, that was India, and the next president, that was Brazil. And this was the first time that all three developing states together were a part of the troika. So now trivia for you: what is the current G20 troika? It is definitely India, Brazil, and which is the next country which is involved. So more about this. There are two types of tracks in G20. That is the Sherpa track and the financial track. The Sherpa track talks about issues other than finances, like terrorism, like hunger, environment, and all that. And Sherpa, the financial track talks about the financial issues which G20 will be facing and all that. So definitely these are these two tracks which are important. Now with the Rio summit and all that. So definitely we guys are like, we are lucky that we had the summit concluding somewhere in November, so we don't have to cover the intricacies of the summit. But majorly, you should be knowing that who's the current president of Brazil, and that is Lula da Silva, because it is important because he has recently been elected, and it's a very major political shift as well. So you should be remembering that. And definitely, one more trivia for all of you: where was the final G20 summit held in Rio? What is the name of the venue? That is something that you should be knowing. Now the next topic that we are going to cover is the Janepat Awards. So the 58 Janepat Awards were given out to two people, that is Gulzar and the other is Baba Ram Bhattacharya. And why these awards are important? So these are given out in the literary field, and Gulzar we all know. And also this is one trivia question for all of you: in which year did Gulzar receive the Oscar, and for what work of his? And also now about Janepat Awards. So they were established in the year 1944, but they were instituted in the year 1961, and the first awards were given in the year 1965. So these awards definitely have a legacy with them, and these are funded by the Janepat Cultural Organization. Now, certain other important things about this. So in the year 1965, it was first received by G.S. Kurup for his work, and also the eligibility for these awards is that you have to be an Indian citizen, and it can be given out to any person who has done commendable work in any of the 22 scheduled languages of the Indian which are mentioned in the Indian Constitution in the 8th schedule. So that is there. And guys, there's a trivia for all of you. So which is the most recent language which has been recognized under the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution, and by which Constitutional Amendment Act? So this is a question for all of you. So this is majorly about Janepat Awards. So the other topic that we are going to cover is the ASEAN Summit that took place in Laos. So ASEAN as a grouping is very important for India, and it has 10 members. It was founded in the year 1967, and its founding members included, so there's a way to remember it, TIMS. So that is Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, and Singapore. So these are the founding members of ASEAN, and we also have the ASEAN. And in the year 1997, ASEAN had adopted its Vision 2020. So ASEAN also has this motto of one vision, one identity, and one community. And that also, the ASEAN Regional Forum came in the year 1993, and it has 27 members. So this is a major platform where ASEAN countries also deal with other nations which are not a part of the grouping. In the year 2015, the ASEAN community came into being, and also इससे एक related एक summit which is very important is the East Asia Summit, and you should be knowing कि वो कौन से साल में शुरू हुआ. So this is a trivia for all of you. So comment में लिखो कि कौन से साल में the first East Asia Summit took place, and that is related with regards to the ASEAN Summit.